Sure. So, again, there's a lot of attorneys out there that do basic planning. So, I know attorneys that have like a one-page will, for example, and it's the same one-page will for everybody. And then there's some attorneys who call themselves estate planners, and maybe they've been doing it for a long time, maybe, but, they haven't. I know a lot of attorneys who say they're estate planners who kind of came into this field because they weren't happy doing some other practice of law for most of their life. When we talk about advanced planning, it's really for people with advanced needs. The biggest component, of course, being clients that either have an estate tax or may have an estate tax. And there's all sorts of options and tools that are out there for a client where we can save the family. If we don't minimize the tax, we can oftentimes, if we don't eliminate the tax, we can actually, at a minimum, minimize the tax. And for some of our clients, they don't realize just how powerful that can be. If I've got a 60-year-old client that's worth, $40 million, they're not thinking through that if they live to be 85, even at a pretty small growth rate, they could easily have a $100 million estate by the time they die, just like with a 7% growth rate. So, one of the things I think we've gotten really, really good at is helping these high net worth families understand what the problem is, defining what that problem is, and then laying out all the different options that you have that are available to you to mitigate those problems and eliminate those problems. And we do that through, it's taken years for us to develop some of these processes, but we're very visually based. So we'll do diagrams and charts and kind of simplify it so that people can visually see exactly what we're going to do. And then, of course, there's implementation. And, at each stage of this, the good thing is that, it'll often be that we'll start with the base planning. So we'll get the wills, living wills, powers of attorney in place. And for our high net worth clients, the wills can actually defer the estate tax until both spouses died. Once we've kind of gotten that, then the next phase is that we'll start talking about, different options that are available to a family in order to reduce or eliminate those taxes. So in phase 2, oftentimes we're kind of just gathering information. We'll then say, if you would like for us to put a proposal together for you, then we'll charge a flat fee, and we'll actually put a very comprehensive proposal on what we're going to recommend based on your unique objectives, how much it's going to cost to implement, the timelines that it's going to take in order to get this stuff done. And then if you decide not to move forward at that point, then there's no further work. But if you do decide to implement, then we'll have a flat fee, typically a fixed base fee, in order to implement the planning recommendations that we've made. And then once we actually implement it, then really the last piece is then kind of an ongoing maintenance, whereby we're gonna kind of meet with you ideally every year, so that we can kind of make sure that it's one thing to set up the legal structures, it's another thing to make sure they're actually being carried out appropriately. So we want to make sure that operationally, after we've done the transaction, that you're actually, that it's not just the form, but substantively you're actually carrying it out. I'm very proud of the fact, quite frankly, that I've never had any of my transactions overturned by the IRS. In 20 years of practice, I haven't had a single estate tax return or gift tax return that's been overturned by the IRS. So, and why is that? Well, it's because we work really hard to do things right, and as most people know, the tax code, the regulations, and the law, all very, very complex, constantly changing, and we are a member of several national organizations of estate planning attorneys where we're constantly learning new ways to help, protect our clients and better serve our clients. But even, it's not only, when we're talking about advanced estate planning, it's not only, though, about tax planning. So for some of our clients, that, again, that they may have class 3 weapons, and they don't realize all the danger that's out there when you have those kind of weapons, where we can go set up a gun trust to make sure that, you don't get your family in trouble, with these weapons if you happen to die. We set up all sorts of charitable planning, so private foundations and charitable lead trusts, remainder trusts. that can really benefit people that want to give back to the community, which is one of our core values at our firm. We actually contribute to a number of different charities on a regular basis. It could be involving a child with special needs and making sure that, that we have proper special needs trust drafted so that they don't lose their government benefits. It could be the establishment of Delaware Trust, where we've got some clients that truly want to protect their wealth from multiple generations through a dynastic trust. We can do that. We've got the ability to set up a Delaware Trust on a number of different levels, actually, so it can not only be asset protected for multiple generations, but can actually avoid estate tax for multiple generations, which is a huge benefit for a lot of our high net worth clients. We can actually set up trusts that can avoid the Louisiana income tax, which can be really big, for a client that's getting ready to sell a substantial, asset, whether it's the assets of their business or, a stock portfolio or whatever. We have, some clients that are really worried about asset protection. It's well known that, the United States has the highest litigation rate in the whole world, and Louisiana, unfortunately, is one of the most litigious states in the country. So there's actually these domestic asset protection trusts that we can set up for, as an advanced planning matter. So really there's a tremendous amount of different tools, and again, it always comes down to, what are you trying to achieve, and then we're going to lay out those options for you, explain them very clearly, give you a value-based, fixed fee to implement it so that you're certain as what the costs are going to be, and then we're going to execute it, quickly for you so that you can get it in place and not have this thing drag out too long.